Welcome to Manny's TV Talk, where we will talk about all of our favorite reality TV shows and news surrounding them. Grab a snack, a drink, and get comfortable because this starts now.
Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to my channel where we talk about our favorite reality TV shows. On today's video, we're talking about the new episode of Love and Marriage Detroit. That's episode 9 of season 1. Not too much happened this episode. It was definitely like a filler episode, but we still have some things to talk about. So we pick up with Brendan and Anthony. They were going at it when they were at the beach, and Anthony is screaming to the top of his lungs that I don't have an issue with you, bro. And he gets up and close to Brandon's face. And then Anthony says that he's willing to be friends with Brandon, but he needs Brandon to show his willingness. And at that point, Brandon just says, yeah, I'll think about it. Like, I think he's had enough of Anthony. I think we've all had enough of Anthony, matter of fact. But then we see the girls who are on a little boat, but they were actually having some fun compared to the guys. And then they go and meet up with their men a little bit later. The couples are getting ready. We see Kristina and Brandon talking about how their day went. Kristina says that she sat next to LaToya on that boat on purpose to try to make things right. You know, she's trying to mend things with her. But Kristina still feels some bad energy from LaToya that she needs to figure out what that is. So she will definitely be talking to her about that. And then Brandon says that his day with Anthony was basically, a fight part 2. Kristina says, what? Again? And Brandon explains why he's mad because Anthony wants to bring Lyric to the showcase. And y'all remember a few episodes back, I told y'all there was obviously a reason why Anthony did that. Well, in this conversation, Brandon says to Kristina, Anthony invited your boy, Lyric. So there was definitely something going on with this Lyric guy and Kristina a long time ago. And that's why I think that Anthony is malicious. But they head over for dinner. This time LaToya did get some chefs to prepare the dinner for them. And then Kristina has some weird game for everyone. She gives them all index cards and everybody writes down something. They put it in a box so it's like anonymous and they read them and answer them. They only read one question actually, which was like a sex question, like who should initiate it, the man or the woman. But they actually ended up having a good conversation, so it was good that there was no drama. And you would think that with the nature of the game being like anonymous notes, it would be messy, but thankfully it didn't. Once they finish, the women go outside to a nice fireplace in the backyard. Dr. LaToya is thanking everyone for coming and wants to work on everybody's friendships and wants them to, just be in a good place. So Kristina takes the chance to fully address her issues with LaToya. She tells LaToya that she always feels like LaToya wants to make her the bad guy. So what is that about? LaToya says that her perception of her has, been formed just by observing how she behaves towards Kolby, and then she brings up Brandon. And in her confessional, Kristina makes a great point. She says when you see something that you don't like, you address it in the moment. You don't let it fester and then, make these assumptions about people. Kolby and Lakita interject to help them move on, and eventually Kristina says she's willing to throw any preconceived notions into the fire and she will start from a brand new slate. And LaToya sort of agrees, but she's not really into it, you can tell, but for now they're good. Next up, Anthony goes over to Bravo and they meet up at this restaurant to talk about, Anthony who's doing this man's movement. And Bravo wants to add a speaker to the movement, someone who he knows very well and who is very successful. None other than Love and Marriage Huntsville's Marsau Scott. Marsau is actually from Detroit, so Marsau comes on over. He's talking with the guys. The guys are explaining what they're doing, what the purpose of the man's movement is, to train men how to do stuff. And I actually really like the concept based on how they were explaining it in that sit down. And say what you will about Marsau, at the end of the day, he is a successful man of color, so let's give him that credit. We then move on to Brandon, and he goes over to someone's house, and then we see a white lady, and I was like, who is this? Well, actually, Brandon is biracial. That's his mom. But he says that he doesn't have the best relationship with her. It could be better. And he's telling his mom about some of the communication issues that he has in his marriage, which he has talked to Kristina about, but it all really leads to his childhood. Brandon suspects that, something must have happened when he was a little kid that made him be this way. He also mentions that he thinks that perhaps having a white mother in the hood might have made things weird when he was a kid. And then you know what the mother said? The mother said, well, have you ever considered that being white in the hood must have made things weird? Like, are we supposed to feel sorry for you, lady? But he mentions that he wants therapy with his mom, and she's not too excited about it, but she agrees to do it. Moving on, it's Anthony and Dr. LaToya arriving to the place that they're having their event, which is not that nice, to be honest with y'all. And unfortunately, it's pouring rain. Bravo arrives, and then Russell and Kolby. It's 5 minutes before the thing starts, and there's no one there. Brandon does come to show his support, but Kristina had to take care of the kids, so she wasn't able to go. The special guest, Marsau, arrives, but again, no men in this men movement. I actually felt bad. Y'all, there was like 20 to 25 men who ended up going. Like, that ain't no damn movement. In the words of Dwight, a man movement with no men. How dreadful. I mean, when you're talking about the man movement, you would expect, 100, 150, maybe 200 people to be there. And they didn't even have seats for the few men that came. They were standing when the speakers were talking. This event was not planned out. But then after some people speak, Anthony has them walk around the block. Just walking. No flags, no picket signs, no bullhorns. This was an epic fail. After it's all over, we just have the people who are actually on the show talking about the event, and Brandon says, today was great, but he would still like more clarity about what the mission statement is for this man's movement. And before you know it, Kolby's coming at him and saying, well, it was in the paper, it was very clear, I don't know why you don't get it. But she feels like Brandon is just trying to be mean to Anthony, and I do get that in that moment. The comment might have been a little bit unnecessary, but I don't blame Brandon for saying it. And also, Kolby better be glad Kristina wasn't there based on how she just spoke to her husband. And then the last scene of the episode is Brandon and Kristina. They're at home, and then his mom arrives. I think she comes across very cold. And then the therapist arrives. It was interesting to see Brandon and his mom talking about things. Sounds like his mom wasn't the best to communicate with him as a child. But that triggers her, and she says, it's not like I didn't try. And she says that she didn't know how to pull things out of him when he was young, and she says, at a certain point, you just give up. But here's the thing, ma'am. You were his mom. You can't give up. That's what I was thinking. And the therapist says, what would you guys like to happen? What would you guys like to, this to lead to? And the mom says, I would like to have some conversations with you sometimes. But that word sometimes definitely triggered Brandon, and the therapist says, why did you react to that when she said that? And he feels like the mom could be fine not speaking to him ever again, and that makes him really sad. And that's where the episode ended. This story with Brandon and his mom definitely took me by surprise, but it's very interesting, and I do hope that he can solve some of those issues, because it is clearly from his childhood, and I do feel bad for him in that aspect. But you guys, that was the end of the episode. Next episode, it'll be the showcase. I'm not sure if it'll be the final episode, but it's the showcase they've been talking about. The lyric man will come, and it will be some disaster. But you guys, as far as this episode, let me know, what did you think about Marsau coming, and what did you think about this quote-unquote man's movement? Let me know in the comments, you guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. You have a great one. Bye.